Lieutenant Amara Jackson pulled her uniform jacket straight as she approached the spaceport's central diplomatic hub. The specialized blue trim on her sleeves marked her as one of Earth's elite xenolinguists, perhaps the best humanity had to offer. Her dark fingers traced the presidential seal on her credentials, a gesture that had become almost a nervous habit over the years. Today was the culmination of her life's work. After 15 years dedicated to deciphering alien communication patterns, she would finally meet the friend face to face. Their sudden arrival 3 months ago had thrown Earth into a frenzy of diplomatic preparation. The corridor leading to the meeting chamber buzzed with activity. Engineers made last-minute adjustments to translation equipment. Military personnel stood at attention, their faces masks of practiced calm. The air smelled of cleaning solution and the metallic scent of new technology. Amara checked her tablet one final time, reviewing her notes on Vren vocal patterns. Their language relied heavily on tonal shifts that human ears could barely distinguish. Without her specialized translation matrix, the upcoming negotiations would be impossible. "You've got this," she whispered to herself, squaring her shoulders. As she approached the final security checkpoint, a tall figure stepped directly into her path. Security Officer Daniels. His name badge gleamed under the bright lights as he positioned himself between Amara and the chamber doors. "Credentials," he said flatly, extending his hand. Amara presented her authorization badge, the highest level of clearance possible, bearing the presidential seal and signature. "Lieutenant Amara Jackson, Xenolinguistics Division. I'm leading the translation team for today's meeting." Daniels barely glanced at the badge before his lips curled into a subtle smirk. "Your clearance seems insufficient," he said, handing it back. "Insufficient." Amara's voice remained steady despite the shock. "There must be some mistake. President Chen personally authorized my team's presence." "No mistake." Daniels crossed his arms. "Security protocols were updated this morning. No one mentioned you specifically needed access." A small crowd had begun to gather. Other diplomats, military personnel, and science officers waiting to enter the chamber. Their uncomfortable glances darted between Amara and Daniels, but no one stepped forward. "Officer Daniels," Amara said quietly, "I've spent 3 months developing the only functional translation matrix for Vren communication patterns. Without my team, this meeting cannot proceed effectively." "Then I guess it won't be effective," Daniels replied, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Or maybe someone more suitable can operate your equipment." The implication hung in the air. Several people shifted uncomfortably, eyes downcast. Admiral Young emerged from the diplomatic chamber, stopping short when he saw the confrontation. "Is there a problem here?" Before Amara could respond, Daniels answered, "Just a clearance issue, sir. Lieutenant Jackson doesn't have proper authorization for today's meeting." Yum's eyes darted between them, then to the gathering crowd. "Officer Daniels, perhaps we can sort this out quickly. The Vren delegation will arrive in 15 minutes. "Security protocols are clear, sir," Daniels insisted. "My orders come from Colonel Harper himself." Amara felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Colonel Harper had opposed her appointment from the beginning, suggesting someone with more traditional credentials should lead the linguistics team. As tension built in the corridor, Amara's thoughts drifted to her grandmother, Eleanora Jackson, who had faced similar barriers 40 years ago as one of NASA's first black female engineers. "Sometimes you must stand alone to stand for everyone," her grandmother had told her. "The door you force open today will remain open for those who follow." Through the large viewport behind Daniels, Amara could see the Vren ship hovering beyond the station. Its crystalline structure caught the sunlight, sending rainbows dancing across the observation deck. Beautiful and utterly alien, just like their language, which had taken Amara years to begin understanding. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders. This wasn't just about her career or personal dignity. The first contact with the Vren could shape Earth's future for generations. Their technology, especially their advanced medical capabilities, could save millions of lives. Officer Daniels, Amara said, her voice finding new strength. I will not be turned away. I've earned my place in that room, and humanity needs my expertise today. Daniels stepped closer, his intimidating height forcing Amara to look up. And who exactly do you think you are? The gathered crowd held its collective breath. Behind them, through the viewport, the shimmering Vren ship began its approach sequence, humanity's future hanging in the balance. Step aside now, Jackson, Daniels growls, his hand moving to the weapon holstered at his hip. His fingers tap the handle in a clear warning. These aliens don't need to see your kind representing Earth. The words hang in the air, ugly and unmistakable. The gathered crowd collectively inhales, the sound like a soft whisper in the now silent corridor. No one moves. No one speaks. Amara feels heat rising in her cheeks, but keeps her expression neutral, a skill perfected through years of being the only black woman in countless conference rooms. Her gaze shifts past Daniels to Captain Rivera, who stands near the chamber entrance. Their eyes meet briefly before Rivera looks away, pretending to check something on his tablet. The captain's silence speaks volumes. Rivera had praised Amara's work privately, but now, when it matters, his courage fails him. The disappointment stings worse than Daniel's open hostility. Amara's hand slides to her pocket, feeling the solid weight of the translation matrix, a device no larger than an old smartphone, but containing the most sophisticated language processing algorithm ever created. 10 years of her life poured into its development. Countless nights spent analyzing Vren communication patterns from the limited samples they had shared. The device represents not just her career but humanity's best hope for meaningful connection with the technologically superior visitors. Without it, the diplomatic team would be reduced to rudimentary gestures and basic concepts. The Vren's complex tonal language, with its subtle harmonics beyond normal human hearing range, would remain largely incomprehensible. Around them, the spaceport hums with the background noise of air circulators and distant machinery. Through the viewport, Earth hangs like a blue jewel against the blackness of space, a reminder of everything at stake. Lieutenant Jackson, Admiral Young says cautiously, perhaps we can arrange for your team to provide remote support. No. Amara's voice cuts through the tension. My place is in that room. The matrix requires real-time adjustments based on Vren responses. She steps closer to Daniels, refusing to be intimidated. I won't move. I earned my place here. Her heart pounds so hard she wonders if others can hear it, but her voice remains steady. She thinks of her grandmother again, and all the women before her who refused to step aside. Daniel's face darkens. This is a direct order from a security officer. Your insubordination will be. The doors to the diplomatic chamber slide open unexpectedly. Light spills into the corridor, silhouetting 3 tall, slender figures. The Vren delegation has arrived early, their timing either unfortunate or purposeful. The aliens move with fluid grace, their bodies covered in what appears to be a thin layer of translucent material that shifts colors subtly as they walk. Each stands nearly 7 feet tall, their elongated limbs moving with deliberate precision. Their faces bear only the slightest resemblance to human features. 2 large, crystalline eyes dominate, reflecting light in prismatic patterns. Where a human would have a mouth, they have what scientists have tentatively called vocal membranes that vibrate when they communicate. The gathering falls completely silent. For many present, this is their first direct sight of the Vren. Despite months of remote communication, the alien's presence commands the space in a way that makes even Daniels momentarily forget his hostility. Captain Rivera steps forward awkwardly. Welcome, honored delegates. We were just finalizing security arrangements. The lead Vren tilts its head slightly, those crystalline eyes moving from Rivera to Daniels to Amara. Though their faces aren't designed for human expressions, Amara senses something like curiosity, or perhaps assessment, in their gaze. From her studies, Amara knows the Vren possess sensory abilities beyond human capacity. They might not understand English words, but they almost certainly perceive the emotional tension in the corridor. One of the Vren makes a series of musical sounds, rising and falling tones the human ears can barely process. Without translation, it means nothing to those gathered. Amara's fingers tighten around the matrix in her pocket. This is the moment it was designed for. The Vren continue to observe silently, their crystalline eyes seemingly understanding more than anyone realizes. Amara has studied their culture long enough to recognize their stillness as a form of evaluation. They are watching, learning, judging. Admiral Young clears his throat nervously. We should proceed with introductions. Not without proper security protocols, Daniels interrupts, shifting his body to block Amara from the Vren's view. The lead Vren makes another series of sounds, this time directed specifically at Amara. Though she can't fully comprehend without the matrix, she recognizes the pattern as an interrogative, a question. They're asking about her, or perhaps asking her directly. The tension in the corridor reaches breaking point as Daniels and Amara face off, the Vren observers creating an audience neither had anticipated. The lead alien's questioning tones hang in the air, untranslated and mysterious. Before Daniels can further assert his authority, the main doors at the opposite end of the corridor slide open with a pressurized hiss. The sound draws everyone's attention away from the confrontation. 3 figures step through the doorway, moving with practiced precision. They wear identical black uniforms with silver piping, the distinctive attire of the Interstellar Ethics Division, a newly formed oversight body created specifically to monitor humanity's conduct in the new era of alien contact. Their sudden appearance sends a ripple of surprise through the gathered crowd. Commander Sophia Chen leads the trio, her posture straight and purposeful. Her eyes scan the scene quickly, assessing the situation with practiced efficiency. Behind her stand 2 junior agents, their expressions neutral but alert. Chen holds a tablet computer displaying official documentation, the Earth United Government seal prominently visible. What is the meaning of this? Daniels demands, his hand still resting on his weapon. This area is under security lockdown. Commander Chen ignores his question completely, walking directly toward him. The crowd parts automatically to let her through. Her footsteps echo in the now silent corridor. Officer Raymond Daniels, Chen announces, her voice clear and formal. I am Commander Sophia Chen, representing the Interstellar Ethics Division. She extends the tablet toward him. Your service is terminated, effective immediately. Daniels stares at her in disbelief. You can't do that. You have no authority here. Colonel Harper. Colonel Harper has been relieved of duty as well. Chen interrupts. We've been monitoring your discriminatory actions for months. This incident today was merely the final confirmation of a pattern of behavior incompatible with Earth's diplomatic course. The corridor falls completely silent. Even the background hum of the station's systems seems to fade away as everyone processes what's happening. This is ridiculous, Daniel sputters, his face reddening. I was following security protocols. The documentation includes 17 separate incidents. Chen continues calmly, all recorded and verified. Your personnel file shows 3 formal complaints that were mysteriously dismissed. There will be no appeal process. The 2 agents flanking Commander Chen step forward, their presence making it clear they're prepared to remove Daniels physically if necessary. Captain Rivera finally finds his voice. Commander Chen, I was unaware of any ongoing investigation. Your awareness wasn't required, Captain. Chen replies, her tone slightly cooler. Though your reluctance to intervene today has been noted in our report. Rivera looks down, properly chastised. Admiral Young clears his throat. Commander, while I don't question your authority, the timing is unusual. We're in the middle of our first formal meeting with the Vren delegation. Chen's expression softens slightly. The timing is not coincidental, Admiral. As if on cue, the Vren delegates move forward as a group. Their translucent skin, normally shifting between subtle blues and greens, suddenly pulses with a bright golden light that casts strange shadows across the corridor. The effect is both beautiful and slightly unsettling. The lead Vren steps directly in front of Amara. From a fold in its shimmering covering, it produces a small silver device, a basic translator, considerably less sophisticated than Amara's matrix, but functional for simple communication. "We watch, we learn," comes the mechanical voice from the translator. This moment, important. The alien's crystalline eyes fix on Amara with an intensity that makes her catch her breath. There's an intelligence behind that gaze that seems to see right through her. Important. How? Amara asks carefully. The Vren's skin pulses again before the translator speaks. How species handles internal conflict reveals truth. More important than technology. More important than words. Amara glances at Commander Chen, who nods slightly, confirming what Amara is beginning to suspect. "You've been observing us all along," Amara says slowly. "Not just our official communications, but how we behave with each other." "Yes," comes the simple translated response. The realization hits Amara with shocking clarity. This confrontation was never just about her. It was humanity's test. The Vren hadn't arrived early by accident. They had timed their entrance perfectly to witness how Earth's representatives would handle internal conflict. Commander Chen steps forward. The Interstellar Ethics Division was formed at the Vren's suggestion. Lieutenant Jackson. They made it clear from the beginning that how we treat our own people would determine whether they considered us ready for advanced knowledge exchange. Around them, the gathered diplomats and officials exchange uneasy glances, finally understanding the true stakes of the encounter. The lead Vren makes a series of musical sounds that the basic translator doesn't capture. Amara reaches into her pocket and activates her matrix for the first time, letting its more sophisticated algorithms process the alien's communication. "Your device." The matrix translates, the voice much more natural than the Vren's basic translator. "It will help us speak more clearly. We have much to discuss about your people's future among the stars." The two junior agents firmly grasp Daniels by his arms, escorting him toward the exit. His face is a mask of disbelief and anger as he's led away. He attempts one final protest, but Commander Chen silences him with a sharp gesture. "You'll have time to make a statement during your formal review," she says. "For now, you're relieved of duty." As Daniels disappears through the doors, an uncomfortable silence falls over the gathered officials. The Vren delegates stand quietly, their translucent skin now pulsing with gentle waves of blue light. Admiral Young steps forward, attempting to salvage the diplomatic situation. "Honored delegates, on behalf of Earth's united government, I apologize for this unfortunate incident. I assure you it doesn't represent our values as." The lead Vren raises a slender hand, stopping the Admiral mid-sentence. It turns to face the group, its crystalline eyes reflecting the corridor's lights in mesmerizing patterns. "Earth almost failed today," the Vren leader explains, the basic translator converting its musical tones into flat mechanical English. "We test species before alliance, not technology. Character." The words hang in the air, simple yet profound. No one speaks as the implications sink in. Captain Rivera, who had remained silent during Amara's confrontation with Daniels, now looks devastated. The color drains from his face as he realizes what his inaction nearly cost humanity. "You mean," he begins, his voice barely above a whisper. "Your species' future depended on how you handled internal injustice," the Vren continues, its translator struggling to capture the complex harmonics of its natural speech. "We experienced similar evolution. Those who cannot respect their own kind cannot respect other worlds." Commander Chen nods knowingly. The Vren made it clear from first contact that they were evaluating us. What we didn't fully understand was the nature of that evaluation. Amara's fingers move deftly over her translation matrix, finally activating its full capabilities. The device hums softly as it syncs with the Vren's biological patterns, Lights on its surface pulse in rhythm with the alien speech, creating a deeper connection than the basic translator could achieve. "May I?" Amara asks, gesturing toward the lead Vren with her device. The alien inclines its head in what appears to be approval. Amara steps forward, holding the matrix between them. The Vren begins to speak, and this time the translation comes through with remarkable clarity and nuance, capturing emotions and subtleties that the basic translator missed entirely. 3,000 of your Earth years ago, the matrix translates, our civilization nearly destroyed itself through division and hatred. Groups of Vren considered others less worthy based on pattern variations in our crystalline structures. Differences as meaningless as the pigmentation variations in your species. The gathered humans listen in stunned silence. This is the most detailed information about Vren history anyone has ever received. Our technological advancement outpaced our moral development. The Vren continues. We created weapons that could erase entire continents before we learned to see each other as equals. We came within moments of extinction. The alien skin darkens momentarily, perhaps a sign of sadness or regret. When we survived and rebuilt, we made a sacred promise. We would never share our knowledge with species who might repeat our mistakes. We have watched dozens of civilizations across the galaxy destroy themselves after achieving spaceflight, always for the same reason: their inability to overcome division within their own kind. Captain Rivera steps forward, his voice strained. And today was our test. One of many, the Vren replies. We observe continuously. Today was significant. Amara's translation matrix suddenly displays new information, complex molecular structures and biological data streaming across its screen. She gasps as she recognizes what she's seeing. These are medical formulas, she says, her voice filled with wonder. Treatments for. She pauses, scrolling through the data. Cancer, Alzheimer's, viral infections we've never been able to cure. The Vren leader turns its crystalline gaze toward her. We possess medical technology that could save billions of your people. Technologies that would end suffering across your world. But we share these gifts only with civilizations demonstrating moral advancement. Admiral Young's eyes widen. You were prepared to withhold this knowledge if we failed your test today. Yes, comes the simple reply. A species that cannot confront injustice among its own kind cannot be trusted with power over life and death. Commander Chen steps forward. The Interstellar Ethics Division was created because the Vren made it clear from the beginning that our moral standards would determine the level of knowledge exchange. But even we didn't realize just how much was at stake. The lead Vren turns to Amara, its skin shifting to a warm golden hue. Your refusal to accept discrimination, even at personal risk, demonstrated the quality we seek. Individual courage in the face of injustice. Amara feels the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders. What had begun as a personal stand for dignity had somehow become a pivotal moment for all of humanity. Her translation matrix continues to fill with data, cures, treatments, and preventatives for diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Knowledge that would transform life on Earth forever. The real test, the Vren says softly, was never about your technology or your diplomatic skills. It was always about your hearts. 6 months after the fateful confrontation at the spaceport, Lieutenant Amara Jackson, now Director Jackson, steps through the sliding glass doors of the newly established Vren Human Medical Center in Nairobi. The morning sunlight streams through the building's crystalline windows, casting rainbow patterns across the white marble floor. It's the 5th such center to open worldwide, with 12 more under construction. Amara's new uniform bears the insignia of the Interspecies Cooperation Initiative, a silver Earth and Vren homeworld intertwined. As she walks through the main lobby, medical staff from both species nod respectfully. Patients waiting in the reception area watch her pass with expressions of hope, the kind of hope that was impossible just months ago. Director Jackson, a young doctor, calls, hurrying to catch up with her. The results from the Tanzania trial just came in. The Vren cellular regeneration therapy showed a 97% success rate for advanced pancreatic cancer. Complete remission in most cases. Amara takes the tablet, scanning the data with practiced ease. Send this to the World Health Organization immediately. We need to fast-track implementation. The doctor's eyes shine with barely contained excitement. That's 3 terminal cancers conquered in 6 months. It's beyond anything we dreamed possible. It's just the beginning. Amara replies, handing the tablet back. The knowledge exchange has barely started. After completing her inspection of the facility, Amara takes the hyperlift to the orbital station that serves as headquarters for the Interspecies Initiative. The journey takes less than 15 minutes, another gift of Vren technology that has transformed Earth's transportation systems. In the observation lounge of the station, Amara stands alone, watching Earth rotate slowly below. From this height, the artificial boundaries that once divided humanity seem meaningless, just as the Vren had tried to explain. Africa's vast expanse lies directly beneath her, the continent's outline clearly visible against the blue ocean. My grandmother would never have believed this, she whispers to herself, thinking of the woman who raised her in a small Kenyan village, who taught her to look up at the stars and dream. Her reflection in the viewport shows a woman transformed, not just by the new uniform or the added responsibility, but by purpose. The past 6 months had been the most demanding of her life, coordinating knowledge exchange programs across every continent, establishing protocols for technology transfer, and creating an entirely new framework for interspecies cooperation. The soft chime of the door signals she's no longer alone. Amara turns to see the lead Vren delegate, now known to humans by the name Ambassador Lyra, entering the observation lounge. The alien's translucent skin shimmers with gentle blue pulses as it moves toward her. Director Jackson. The Vren greets her, its voice translated perfectly by the advanced matrix Amara now wears as a small earpiece. I hoped to find you here. Ambassador. Amara replies with a respectful nod. I was just reviewing the latest medical trial results. The progress is remarkable. Yes, the Vren agrees, turning to look at Earth below. Your species adapts quickly. Your scientists learn our methods faster than any civilization we've previously encountered. They stand in comfortable silence for a moment, both looking at the planet turning slowly beneath them. We open the first Interspecies Academy next week, Amara says. 200 human cadets and 50 young Vren, trained together to become the next generation of diplomats and scientists. I have reviewed their profiles, the ambassador responds. Their diversity is impressive. All human continents represented. All backgrounds. As it should be. Amara smiles, thinking of the rigorous selection process she had personally overseen, ensuring that talent, not privilege, determined who would shape humanity's future among the stars. Your stand that day saved many futures, the Vren says suddenly, its skin pulsing with warm gold tones that Amara has learned indicate deep emotion, not just from disease or suffering, but from isolation. Your species might have remained alone in the cosmos for centuries if events had unfolded differently. Amara thinks back to that tense corridor, to Daniel's hand on his weapon, to the silence of those who should have spoken, and to her own voice refusing to yield. Sometimes the strongest human quality isn't what we create, she replies, but what we refuse to accept. The Vren's crystalline eyes reflect the starlight as it considers her words. A profound observation. Your grandmother's wisdom lives in you. Amara looks surprised. How did you know about my grandmother? We have studied your journey, the Vren says simply, to understand how one human found such courage when others faltered. Their conversation is interrupted by a soft alert from Amara's communication device. The new cadets have arrived for their orientation tour, she explains. Together, they make their way to the academy wing of the station. The large training hall buzzes with excited voices, young humans from every corner of Earth mingling with junior Vren representatives. Their nervous energy fills the space with possibility. On her desk at the front of the hall sits a framed photograph. Amara with the first class of cadets from the new Interspecies Academy. Their faces represent every human continent, ethnicity, and background, standing shoulder to shoulder with young Vryn, the generation who will never know a galaxy divided by such prejudice. As Amara steps forward to address them, she feels the weight of history on her shoulders, but it no longer seems heavy. Instead, it feels like wings. "Welcome," she begins, "to the future we choose to create together."